Hey friends, Carry Hamill 6 Saturdays a week. As we've done in the past, I wanted to give a shout out to an organization that I hope we can bring a little light to. So the people that view these videos can actually go check them out, maybe contribute in some form or another, whether it's in the form of actually donating your time or donating some of your resources. And this week's organization is going to be the Spirit Veterans Fishing Project is this week's organization. I've actually known Trey for a few months now. He's done some work for me. I participated in one of their fishing tournaments, and there's a tremendous amount of inshore, offshore, nearshore fishing captains that contribute to this. And it's an organization that they put their resources behind getting service members out on the water, a little saltwater therapy away from the things that may be going on in their lives. So if you can check out Spirit Veteran Fishing Project, please go online, do so. A great organization that does a lot for our service members here in the Eastern North Carolina area. All right, friends, so what do we have here today? We have a new product. I reached out to somebody, a company on Facebook, and asked them to send me something to test, and they did just that. So what are we unboxing today? Today we are unboxing these Black Widow Venom arrows. All right, so and we're going to do a complete build, a how-to as we go through and start the test of these arrows. We're going to walk you through how I build an arrow, and I'm not going to say it's 100% right because I think everybody has their methodology changes just a little bit from arrow builder to arrow builder, bow tuner to bow tuner. Things just change just a little bit, but I'll walk you through how I do things. It's pretty simple, and I have no problem getting my arrows attuned with broadheads. This is the new Black Widow Venom. It's a 300 spine shaft. I think it's like 9.7 grains per inch, and it comes in a 0.003 straightness. I think you can get these built out for a dozen. Don't go to the website, check them out. It's Black Widow arrows, but I think you can get a dozen of these built out at around $86 to $90. So they're a good, affordable shaft. And mine, the ones that they sent me, came with the inserts and tips to go with them, as along with the collar and the nock. So, and they're already pre-fletched with hanging around a bow shop. Let me tell you, plenty of times I see guys come in where they've attempted to save a few dollars and Dremel their own stuff or use like a pipe cutting tool and cut an arrow. That doesn't work. You have a hard time with a Dremel. You're never going to get it squared off the way you want to unless you have some kind of device like this. I know there's some DIY arrow saws that use a Dremel, and guess what? That would probably work. But this, just hand cutting your arrows with a Dremel, not going to really cut it. You're going to get them. They're not going to be squared, and it's just going to be more work for your archery techs that work in the shop eventually when you finally break down and take it to them. Okay, so pipe cutters will lead to fraction and splintering at the end, so fracturing and splintering at the end. So you don't want to do that either with like a pipe cutter type deal. So just do yourself a favor. You go to a shop, buy your arrows, or you buy them online. Go ahead and have them do the cutting for you. All right, so arrow saw, arrow squaring device, and a silver Sharpie. We have an Easton 9-piece arrow prep toolkit. And then we have some acetone to clean the insides of the arrows out once we've gotten them cut. I did not spin the arrows at the beginning because we were going to cut them off from the front end anyway. We weren't going to look at maybe cutting both ends. So eventually, once we get these arrows cut, I will spin them and see how true they're spinning. We're going to have an arrow scale so we can check the weight on those. And then our broadheads. So what I'll do with these broadheads, and I'll go ahead and do this in advance of cutting them, is I'm going to take these broadheads and I'm going to put them on the inserts so that when I heat up, and you see I'm using a heat gun to heat up my cool mount. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put broadheads on all my inserts, and I know there's a broadhead tool that would be better, but I too like to live dangerously. Probably cut the poop out of myself on this video, maybe, but I'm going to put my broadheads in my insert so when I heat that glue up, I can do one shot, one kill, getting them set up, getting my broadhead top blade set up to the index of the arrow, the spine index on the arrow. And I don't worry about, you see some mechanicals in there, I don't worry about those. They shoot pretty good without doing that. It's these QADs and fixed blades in general. You want to make sure that they line up. This one's not going to have any blades, so we're just going to align the slots. And then last but not least, the heat gun that we're going to use to heat it. There you go. That's a little rundown of what we're using. Oh yeah, forgot my Q-tips. We got some Q-tips. That's to help clean the insides of the arrows off. So the glue has a little bit better adhesion. With that all being said, let's get to cutting arrows. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these inserts and fill points that they sent us, and we're going to insert them into the front and back of the shaft. So we're going to index our arrows first, and this will come into play later on when we actually start to build the arrows, marking the actual spine of our shaft. So now all I did is, and I can't take credit for this idea, I'm sure many other people have done it, to help index my arrows. I cut an indent into, or drilled an indent into my, some light. So cut this, drilled this indent into my press on both ends. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically press the arrow, and the weak side should go down. See, hopefully we're getting a good vision of this, a good visual on this. All right, turn it. Do it one more time just to verify. Still there. Turn it again. There you go. So it looks like our strong point of our arrow is actually right here. So we'll mark that. And the reason I'm doing that is because when I put my inserts in, and this is why I never buy pre-fletched arrows. I want to identify the spine on my own. That way I can align the top blade of my fixed blade broadheads with my cock vane with the spine of the arrow. So, I mean, can you tune without doing all that? Absolutely, but it's just me and how I like to build my arrows. All right, so now we've identified the spine on that one. We will go ahead and go through the rest of the pack. And you can see I kind of wobbled or put that arrow in there, rolled it into the blade, and then just kept rolling it, rolling it against the spin of the blade to make sure it kind of squared itself off. But then I'll use the arrow squaring device again. So I'll save you some time. I'm not going to show you everything I'm getting ready to do. So I'll do the rest of these arrows, and then we'll pick up the next step. All right, so we have finished cutting our arrows. So now we're going to take this silver Sharpie. Just going to mark in, we're going to run it across into the shaft. Give it a couple seconds and let it dry out. Now, if you have one of these G5 ASDs, and I know they have a newer version, it's a little bit, it's longer and it's got a couple more features, but I'd put, to keep from marking up my arrows, I put a little bit of felt in here. Just it's nothing more than cosmetics, but it seems to slide a little bit easier. So now I've marked the end of that, and what we're going to do is we're just going to put it in here on the arrow squaring device, and we're going to spin it, and we're just going to keep spinning it until we get that end square. And you'll know that because see how you're starting to erode or wear that silver Sharpie will start wearing off. It's a light pressure. Just trying to square it up, make sure it's nice and even. If it looks uneven, that might be from the silver Sharpie that bled over the edge. But you can see we're slowly but surely getting rid of some of the unevenness of that end. And you can see in my finger, all that carbon. That's what we want to get rid of when we bring out our arrow prep toolkit. Yeah, there you go. Sharpie's gone, so it's all even Stevens. And what we'll do next is I'll do the rest of the remaining of these arrows, and then I'll show you how I prep them, and then I'll put them. All right, so we cut all of our arrows. We squared them off using our G5 arrow squaring device. Now we're going to use this arrow prep kit. This one happens to be made by Easton. There's 9 pieces to it. This is what it looks like. You know, and it's great because you can do, you know, if you have different size arrows for different applications, you have multiple cleaners or prep tools for it. So, and it looks like a lot like a gun cleaning kit. So, you know, you may already have the stuff here at home. And I don't put a lot of value in this little cottony thing at the end. That's what the Q-tips are for. So, it will bring some of that carbon out, but I don't put a lot of faith in it doing a very very complete job at doing that. So, we're just going to spin it on the way in, run it down, spin it on the way out. You're not trying to do anything special with this. You just want to get the internals there roughed up. So once we start applying the glue, it sticks. And I apologize that I keep moving in and out of the camera. The camera's located between me and the arrow, and so it gets difficult for me to see what I'm doing. So I keep moving stuff around, which I know isn't that conducive. So I'm going to take that acetone, and then I'm just going to, oops, there goes my light. And I'm going to clean that arrow out. See, it's pretty clean, even though I scratched it up pretty good. That arrow is ready to go. All right, stand by. All right, so this part of the video is going to be a little bit noisy again. So we're going to use the heat gun, and we're going to put the cool melt on and get our arrow build finished. So let that thing get warmed up. All right, she's warm. All right, glue's starting to melt. You can see how wet it looks. Now and I'm just going to, don't be afraid to be generous. If you're like me and you don't use safety equipment, that you should, rotate it between your fingers. And if I get a little bit more on one side than the other, it's not going to matter because I'm going to spin it in. I'm going to spin that. Oop. All right, warm that back up. Make sure everything's good and wet. And I'm going to spin this thing. See, I spin it, get that little bit of excess out of there. And now I'm going to look. And what I'm doing is aligning it to my line here. I know it's right between these two veins. And my broadhead's already there. So now I have this vein on with this aligned to the spine. So this is why I generally don't buy fleshed arrows, is now I can take, if I didn't have this fleshed, I could go back and put my cock vein here. My cock vein with my top blade of this 3-blade broadhead would be aligned, and then I'd have a complete arrow build. But it's okay. They did the fletching for me. I really appreciate that. So, and with this hot melt, once it cools, you can just pull it off. See, it doesn't take but a second for it to hold that in, to hold the insert in place. There we go. Just clean off that excess, and you know, you can take your heat source, keep it on low. If you have like a napkin or something, you can just, or you can big boy it. Just wipe the warm glue off with your pinky. So that's how I set my inserts in my arrows. You see, I've used the broadhead to align to my spine, and if I had done the fletching beforehand, or you know the fletching was still to be done, I would have my cock vein aligned to the spine on the arrow, which in this case is right there. So this vein is actually aligned to it. So this is my spine, and then I would have my top blade on my 3-blade broadhead set to the spine and that cock vein, and that should be a pretty aerodynamically efficient and dynamic spine efficient arrow build. So I'll finish these up and then we'll spin them. All right, something else to be mindful of when you're using something like hot melt, or really anything that you're going to use to hold the insert into your arrow, right? So I want to make sure, you see these are threaded on the back end to have some kind of weight system in them. You don't want to get any kind of glue in there, or actually I think these are just threads for the broadhead itself. You don't want to get glue in there and not be able to get your fill point or your broadhead in there. So just be mindful, you know, don't be all sloppy like I was in the previous segment where you saw me doing or applying it. It was kind of sloppily done. I didn't want that to be the example you took away for me making this video. Right there is about how it needs to be done. I said I'm gonna warm it back up again. It cools off really quick, and you should be, I mean, within 10-15 minutes of building these arrows, you should be able to take them outside and check them on the bow. So I'm gonna spin it, spin it, spin it. Where's that mark? All right, it's marked. It's matched up to our index. Let these things cool off. Let them cool off, and you can see I got a little bit wild with some of that glue, but these guys are already hardened, ready to go. So the inserts are set in. Now I can heat these back up and just pull this off. Pulls right off clean. Sometimes if it sticks and you get a little bit more on there than you want, you can just you heat it back up a little bit, and you can take them right off. And this is the good thing about this hot melt, is you don't have to heat your arrow up super hot. Get it a little bit warm, and I can finish seating that thing because it didn't seat all the way. And I didn't heat my arrow up to the point where it messed with the integrity of the actual carbon. So, which is something you got to worry about when you apply direct heat to carbon. And I'll just take my hot melt off. Good looking arrows. If you're going to do it like I did it, not use the broadhead wrench, be very mindful of those blades. There we go. Those arrows should be ready to go shoot. All right, stay tuned, and we're going to weigh them all so we can get see how much deviation there is between shaft to shaft, and then we'll spin them, take them out, shoot them. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to weigh out all of these tips they sent me. So they sent me some pretty nice looking field points, and it looks like they're 100 grains. So 100.4 so far. All 100.4s, 100 even, 100.4, 100.4, good. So that means any deviation is going to be somewhere in the shaft, or in the nock and the collars and all that. So, all right, first arrow. So 410 grains. So these would really be comparative to my Black Eagle. I have some 350 shafts, and they are actually about 5 grains lighter, so 410 grains. And I did end up cutting one of these. Apparently I made a mistake in my measurement, and it was cut a little bit shorter than the other one. The other one's 406, we'll call it 407, 410. So 2 410s and a 407, 410. So far, pretty impressive for, like I said, an $85, $90 set of dozen arrows. So they sent me a half dozen, but 411, 414. So we did get about 4 grains of variance. The lightest one would be my fault because I cut it a little bit short, but it'll still work off my. All right, I want to make some corrections to the last segment I did. So I compared these to my Black Eagle 350s as far as grains per inch and weight, and that would be inaccurate. So I forgot to consider that these are 100 grain tips, not 125. So they would be more in that 428 range. If you add an extra 15 grains to them, so they'd be right around 430ish, and that would put them in the same ballpark as my Victory VAPs in a 300 spine with 125s on the front of them. They're around 428, 429. So be very similar to that. So we'll probably take the Elite out and shoot. Well, we'll take the Hoyt out and shoot those because the arrows that I built for it are 410s. So it should be pretty close. But we're going to spin them now. And those are spinning really well. So, and that's what you're looking for. You see that tip's not moving at all. So we have a good arrow at this point. So might be just the tiniest bit of wobble. Let's put it on that line. That's not going to work. I do have a straight edge. Oh, for fuck's sake. All right, we'll compare it to, we'll put it next to this straight edge. See how much wobble. It doesn't look like much. That's pretty smooth. Looks pretty good. So 2 arrows, spinning pretty true. Yep, they're looking pretty good. I think these are going to be some nice arrows. They feel well built. You know, and I flexed them earlier. They were, yeah, that was spinning good. You know, you just want to, if you got some kind of straight edge, you can use like grid paper that you use in geometry. Spin these things on the same way. I'm just happen to have a straight edge sitting on the desk, so that's what I'm using. Oh yeah, they're spinning good. All right, so now we will actually move on to the shooting portion. I'll be taking the RX-8 out, and it shoots a similar weighted arrow, and we'll go test them at 20, 40, maybe out to 60 yards. All right, friends, so we're out here on the range, standing at the 40-yard line, and we're going to do a side-by-side shoot, shooting the Black Eagle Rampages that I've been shooting out of this bow, and shooting them alongside the Black Widow Venom. So I know that with this camera you're not going to get a good view of the downrange flight, but we will get 10 shots. It's 5 from the Black Widows, 5 from the Black Eagle, and then we'll walk down and see how they group. All right, in fairness on this video, I'm not expecting the Black Widows to shoot on target with the Black Eagles. This is just a grouping exercise because the Black Widows are a 246 inner diameter. These the Black Eagles are a 204 inner diameter. So there is some difference. Let down. Yep, on 20. Not going to work. And I got my finger a little bit. You can really hear these Max Hunters going down range. Those other the ones on the Black Eagles are tacks. From here, I don't hear them at all. I think I had one flyer, and I'll pull that arrow, come back, make sure it wasn't me. I think I pooped the bed on that one. It's okay. It's the one that kind of hit my finger, and I got one that's really high at the 12 o'clock on this bullseye. All right, let's go pull that one arrow. We'll reshoot it, then we'll go check the target. All right, so full disclosure, I had 2 flyers. I know one of them hit my finger. The veins hit my fingers on the way out, and apparently I didn't have enough crayons this morning because I couldn't count how many arrows I had out here, and I didn't bring a 3rd arrow from the Black Widow brand. So we're going to reshoot 3 arrows at the target and then go check the group. Yeah, we went top and right again. Oh, nice. There we go. So I held low on the bullseye, which on this target's pretty big, but I held low on the bullseye, and it looks like it went right in. So still got one flyer out of this group. All right, let's go check them. All right, we're gonna walk down together because I don't want anybody accusing me of trying to pour a product or tear them down. This is just what I got. That's how we're walking to the target. Oh man. So there you go. I did have that one flyer, and I tell you, we'll reshoot that, but that's a 40-yard group, 2 different arrows, and I can tell you, I've shot the Black Eagles out to 100 yards, and they shoot really good. This bow is not tuned to these arrows. These arrows are 300 spine with a 100 grain tip, so the spine could be acting a little bit differently for these arrows than they would for those with the 125 on the front of them, but they're very similar weights. But I'm gonna reshoot that one just to eliminate that Carrie didn't do something stupid, because that's very possible. Like I said, I don't think I had enough crayons this morning, so we'll do it one more time. All right, one more shot with these Black Widows just to make sure I didn't goof this thing up. Those other 2, or the other one that I thought, you know, I had messed up on, possibly the one that hit my finger or the veins. Yeah, it's right in there with the rest of the group. So let's see how this goes. There it is. It's right dead with the rest of them. So apparently I goofed it up. Let's go check them. I found these guys on Facebook. Facebook ad went, you know, hit the shop now button, go check out what they got. And I'd never heard of them. So I think they also sell the Bulldog targets on there, and then they have some merch. But I think right now they're only offering one diameter shaft, so it's a 246 inner diameter. Here's what I was able to get at 40 yards with arrows. That's a pretty solid group, man. I mean, I shot a couple mulligans, but I'm human, just like the rest of you. I think it's a pretty solid group, you know, for $90 for a dozen arrows. I think it's pretty solid. So if you're interested, you're looking for some new arrows, you want something to play with, reach out to Black Widow Arrows. They're on Facebook and they got their own website, so reach out to them, try some out. Thanks for watching.